I went ahead and had the surgery, and my daughter was with me, and my son and my husband all came to the hospital with me, and I expected I was going to get out that day. That's what they told me. I expected that I'd be out of pain, because that's what they told me, that all this pain that I was having on my left side would be gone. But when I woke up from surgery, I remember that I wasn't out of pain, and I was immediately felt more pain. And I started crying, because I was like, but it didn't take the pain away. And they came in and talked to us, and my daughter and husband both remember them saying that they had to work extra hard to get this bone spur. And it took longer than expected, and it was really tough for them to get it out. And that's probably why I was in more pain. But immediately, these three fingers, had a tingling and a numbness in them. My thumb, my ring finger, and my middle finger, that I still have today. And it's been over a year and a half, or about a year and a half, year and a few months since I had the surgery. So they put me on an oral, gave me the choice to stay in the hospital. I chose not to stay in the hospital because I was self-pay. And I didn't want to cost any more money, right? Because I was paying cash for the surgery. So I went home. They put me on an oral steroid, and of course the pain medicine and the other medications that they prescribed for me. And I went home to start healing. And the first few days were great. I didn't have any, even the pain wasn't that bad. I remember that I even went to my son's birthday party. Like, we had dinner for him at a restaurant a couple of days after my surgery, and I went to that. I was in pain, and I wasn't driving, of course, and I was in my neck brace, but I wasn't in pain. Something else I found interesting, and after now researching, remember I didn't have the time to research that I've had now. But I see so many different people. Some people wear a neck brace 24/7. Some people don't wear a neck brace at all. My doctor just wanted me to wear my neck brace at all times except when I was sleeping or taking a shower for the first 6 weeks. And they didn't make it clear to me. So now I know, but I didn't know that until I remember going to my follow-up appointment, my 6-week follow-up appointment, and I didn't have my neck brace on. And I said, I left it at home. He said, what do you mean you left it at home? You're supposed to have it on in the car. And I'm like, well, nobody told me that. So then I started seeing these like warning signs. Now that I look back, I see that those were warning signs because then they said, did you get your x-ray? I didn't get an x-ray. Nobody told me I needed an x-ray. So these are the things that I think we missed. Them explaining to me how often I was going to need x-rays and MRIs for follow-ups for that first year, when my follow-up appointments were going to be, how long I'm supposed to really wear this neck brace. Those things were not ever explained to me. And it isn't just my memory. I always had somebody with me at these doctor's appointments, and my husband doesn't remember that either. So I did everything that I was supposed to do during the surgery. So let me back up. About 10 days after my surgery, I developed this horrible sensation. Maybe that was about 7 days in, like touch sensation. When the covers would touch my arm, when my nightgown would touch my arm, it was this awful sensitivity to touch. It just hurt so bad. It felt like somebody was sticking 1,000,000 needles in my arm, and it was awful, like almost like a 3rd-degree burn is what it felt like on my arm. And I called the doctor's office, and they said that there wasn't anything that they could do. They talked to me about it, when I came in for my follow-up, and I couldn't sleep for like 3 days. I couldn't sleep because every time I'd move, this would wake me up. My husband finally came up with an idea to wrap it in an ACE bandage, and that helped. Even though that hurt, it didn't hurt like as if something was brushing it and touching it. That pain over the last year has improved. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes I still have that sensitivity to touch. Then, about 10 days after surgery, I got this horrible rash all over my body, and it was everywhere except for my face, my neck, and my hands and my feet. I mean, it was all over my body. And I called the doctor's office. They said, quit taking all of your medications. So I did that. The rash persisted. I went in and saw them. They said, take Benadryl. So I did. I was so miserable for about 4 days. I itched horribly. I couldn't get any relief. I couldn't take any medicine because they didn't know what medicine was causing it. I literally shut myself off from the world during this time. I went to bed. All I could do was sleep. The Benadryl made me sleep. So I'd just sleep. I wouldn't answer my phone. I wouldn't look at my phone. I wouldn't answer texts. I couldn't do anything. I was just miserable and started getting depressed. And I could feel that because I'm one that always communicates with my friends and family, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't do anything. I had those puppies that are just born, remember, out, and my mom and my husband were taking care of them, bless their hearts, because the first week it's every 2 hours around the clock. The second week it's every 3 hours around the clock. The third week it's every 4 hours around the clock. I couldn't even walk outside to the room where they were to check on the puppies or to guide them. And I'm very OCD when it comes to my dogs. So that was a big warning to my family and to myself that I was in not a very good place, that for 2 weeks I didn't even go out and check on those babies, and just trusted my mom and my husband to take care of that, and my daughter, and they did a great job, but they didn't know what they were doing either. But they handled it and kept those babies alive. And this is when I knew that I had to stop my dog breeding, that I couldn't physically do that anymore. So I went back to the doctor for my 6-week follow-up. So now, also looking back, one of the problems that I had with this particular neurosurgeon that I saw is I saw somebody different every time. So a different nurse practitioner, and then another nurse practitioner, and then a different somebody, but I wouldn't see the doctor very often, and I never would really see the same person. So I didn't have a person that I felt like I could talk to that understood my whole story. And I didn't realize how important that was until I started having these other issues. And that became a big problem. Because I then became a number. Like I was just another number, I felt, to this doctor's office. I wasn't that cookie cutter case. I found out that it's 2% of cases that don't get that immediate pain relief from this type of surgery. And what I had was a Anterior Cervical Disc Fusion at 6 and 7. At disc 6 and 7 in my neck. And they went in straight through here. I don't know if you can see that scar. It's not a pretty scar at all, but I did put makeup on it to hopefully cover it up. So I didn't realize that it wasn't, that was really important until you have problems and you're a part of that 2%, that you need that person that you can talk to, that knows your story, that you don't have to repeat your whole story. And I didn't have that with this particular doctor's office. I don't think that the doctor did anything wrong or caused any of this. That's not what I'm saying at all. Where this doctor and his office went wrong was the follow-up care and not caring, not helping me through the journey. When I went back and saw the doctor finally at 6 weeks, and I told him about this rash that I had had, because I was genuinely concerned about this rash. I wanted to know what it was that caused it, so I don't ever take that medication again, because I don't ever want to feel that way again. I've since learned that and what I thought it was the oral steroid. He told me, a neurosurgeon, it cannot be the oral steroid that you're allergic to. because that's what we use to treat allergic reactions. That didn't seem right to me because everything else I had taken. I've never really taken steroids because I don't like the way they make me feel. I get very anxious, and I've never done well with the steroid the 1 or 2 times in my way past that I'd been on them. So I've always avoided them. But the other medications I came home from the doctor's office on, I had been on recently. So then finding out later, talking to other doctors, that yes, you can in fact be allergic to oral steroids, and even the coating that the pill is put in, or the capsule, or whatever it's called, you can be allergic to that as well. So now I avoid oral steroids. I will not take them ever again in my life. But it's different than an injectable steroid. It's different. I've had injections since of steroid, and I don't have any reaction. So for me, I'm avoiding that, oral steroids. The other thing that was interesting is immediately after surgery, they put me on Lyrica. Well, before my surgery, I was on Lyrica, and then I continued it after surgery, which is a nerve medicine to help with nerves. And when I called and then went in to see the doctors, PA, NP, whatever it was, she said, stop taking all your medications. I stopped taking all my medications. That's what she told me. Well, at that 6-week appointment, the doctor said, oh, you don't ever stop taking Lyrica cold turkey like that. I said, well, it was your staff that told me to stop taking the medication. So I stopped taking the medication. So those are just a few ways where I feel like the communication kind of broke down. So he said in the office that this nerve pain that I'm having in my fingers, this numbness and this pain in my arm, may or may not be permanent. But your nerve heals. It takes, to heal an inch, it takes about a year. So they said in a year, if the pain is still there, then it's probably permanent, is what he told me. But let's try this Horizon. So somebody along the way tried me. He kept me on Lyrica, so I kept taking the Lyrica. No improvement. He referred me to a pain management doctor. I've never been to a pain management doctor ever in my life before this. I'm not a real big drug medication taker. I just never have been. So first experience with a pain management doctor. When I first went in and met him, he was fantastic. I liked him a lot. And he decided to put me on this, and he really listened to like the pain, that I was having. And I felt like he was really going to try to help me. And he changed me from the Lyrica to a drug called Horizon, which is a similar drug, but it's more of a compound drug. So I started taking that. Then I went back and saw his nurse practitioner. He tried me on some medications also, and the Horizon. Went back for my next visit about a month later to see a nurse practitioner. She too listened to me, and I really felt like wanted to help me with this pain, since I'm getting no help with the neurosurgeon in his office. And then I go back for my second visit. With my second visit, we decided to try an injection in my spine, a steroid injection in my spine. So made that appointment, went and had that done, and I got like 2 days relief with that. The first day, I didn't have any relief after I had that steroid injection in my neck. But on the second day till about the 4th day, I got some relief. And then it just gradually started coming back. So it didn't last very long for me. Then I made a follow-up appointment, and I saw another PA or NP or whatever. PA, physician assistant, NP, nurse practitioner. I get them confused. It was one of those. And this lady was completely different than the other one I had seen in the doctor. And she was like, what? They've got you on tramadol? Oh my gosh, we're not allowed to prescribe that, and we can get in trouble, and we've got to be careful for what medications they put you on. And I said, well, yeah, I didn't ask for that. That's what they put me on. But she made me feel like I was a drug addict being on this tramadol. I didn't know about drugs or anything about drugs. I've soon and since learned that tramadol really isn't a very strong drug at all, and that shouldn't throw up any red flags or get anybody in trouble or flag me as a drug seeker, which I've learned is a big deal in this recovery healing process. So she really scared me. And I just didn't like her bedside manner at all. But I went back and I talked to the doctor. And all along from the first visit with this, I forgot to mention this, all along from the first visit with this pain management doctor, he had mentioned, we will try these things, and if they don't work, then what you may need is a stimulator in your neck, a stimulator for your neck. I've not ever heard of a stimulator, but it's a device that they implant, which requires a surgery that I've since learned stays in you, and you have to have it removed if it doesn't work. And it does work for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. But I didn't have insurance, so it didn't matter. It was going to cost $80,000, $90,000, whatever it was. So I said, I can't do that because I can't afford a stimulator. I can't afford $90,000 to do a stimulator. And I felt like at that point that he kind of went off, like wasn't as helpful as I felt like he was in the beginning, wasn't as compassionate towards me as he was in the beginning. So after that fourth or fifth visit, I quit going to him. And then I had to have a really strong talk with myself. And I was depressed. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was in pain. And then I started thinking about all the people that I know that have cancer, or that died, or that lost children, or that had something worse than what I was having to deal with. And I had to remind myself that as bad as you have it, there's always somebody that has it worse. And Shannon, you just have to take your life and you have to live life to its fullest and make the best of this life that you were given. And this little bit of pain, this little bit of numbness that I'm coming to is really small in comparison to everything else that's going on in life and all how other people are suffering. So I did that. I really made a decision to live my life and take my life back. And I did that successfully. I appreciate you following along my journey. And if you know somebody that's struggling, even if it's not their neck or their back, but they're just having chronic pain issues or mental health issues, invite them to follow along and subscribe to our channel. We're going to be bringing you so many things that are going to help anybody in your everyday life restore hope, purpose, faith, and strength. So I hope if you enjoy these videos that you will choose to subscribe. Be sure to comment because it really helps keep me going, and share. That's how you can help us, help you, and help others.